We'll try it. If I get it wrong, you can tell me I got it wrong. It's okay. Um, so I'm here with Jessie Morrell.
Moral.
She does videos on YouTube. She makes her own original songs on piano, and she also does covers of songs. Welcome on.
Thank you for having me.
So, how did you start making music?
I grew up in a very musical family. My dad is an organist and a pianist, piano teacher, singer. He's written songs. My mum plays flute and sings and stuff. So I was always constantly surrounded by music growing up. And I started sort of trying my hand at composing stuff when I was very tiny, maybe when I was about five. I mean, it was obviously terrible music, but it did exist. And I got super into songwriting sort of when I was about 12, 13, and then decided that that's what I want to do properly. But I've always been fully, consumed by music all the time because of my family.
When did you start taking it more seriously? Was it with more original stuff, or did it start with covers as well?
The first thing with songs that I wanted to take more seriously was the originals, which was when I was sort of 13. But I was trained classically and trained as a chorister. So songwriting and that kind of thing wasn't really taught to me. So when I first discovered, that songs can be a very serious thing, the originals were where I've always wanted to take them. And the covers were a much more recent thing with the YouTube channel and the Beatles songs. That has only been the past few years I've really probably started doing that. And I wasn't expecting it to resonate with people. So I've taken it further because of how it's done on YouTube. And now it's like my thing, but it was never going to be. That was very recent.
If you were like trained classically, is that kind of how you developed your style of playing music? Because when I saw your stuff, I kind of noticed it was a bit more contemporary. I don't want to say older sounding, but a little bit more the classical sound. Is that how you developed that style?
Yeah, I'd say it is. Because I was surrounded by, I mean, it was mainly sort of cathedral choir music, but I was always into like romantic music, sort of Rachmaninoff and old film scores that are inspired by the Romantic period. I think a lot of the songs, people say they have a sort of musical theatery, romantic, classically thing. I don't really know where that came from. I mean, I was in a few little productions at school and stuff, but I've never been completely into like musical theatre and listening to it. So that was quite strange. But I think from sort of being, because I was at a music school, so we were taught sort of romantic and classical. So I assume that that has sort of subconsciously come into it, but it's not something that I'm consciously trying to like put into them. I think it's just happened naturally.
You also do like guitar and ukulele stuff, I think.
Yeah, so I started, the first thing I learned was a piano, but I refused to be taught how to do it. I wanted to just wing it and improvise, and that means I play by ear and have absolutely no technique, but it seems to work. I learned the ukulele when I was at primary school, and I was really into Dodie, so then I bought my own baritone one, and then I thought I should probably learn how to play guitar. Um, and I can play it a bit. I can play chords, but I can't do like soloing or anything funky. But those are my main instruments. But I was taught on the violin and the viola and the saxophone, and I can play a bit of brass and that sort of thing. But I haven't really used it much recently. It's mainly just piano and guitar.
Kind of relate to that. I kind of learned piano by myself as well. Not as much by ear, but definitely
Yeah.
not getting any lessons, not really taking any classes, learning the keys, learning the chords, and improvising. I feel like it kind of does give you a bit more of your own unique style, even though it could be harder at times.
Yeah, and like with music education stuff, I always said I don't want anyone to teach me how to write anything. I don't want to be taught how to write a song. I don't want to be taught how to play the piano. I just want to wing it. And I think that sort of brought my passion back a bit for it because like on violin and viola, saxophone and stuff, I had to do grade exams and they sort of killed my enthusiasm. But I think when you do it yourself and you wing it, it can really be a good way of like sourcing joy out of it a bit more.
Has your point of view on your work changed since you have begun to kind of get an audience? Have you thought about any other future plans with that?
Yes, I'm doing lots of studio work at the moment. In terms of how it's changed how I see my music and stuff, it's made me focus more on just piano and singing and adding nothing else rather than doing big arrangements because that seems to be the thing that has drawn people in. Like with the Beatles covers, I think people are intrigued on how I can make a certain song work on just the piano when the original has like loads of other stuff and like a full band in the background. So then I think when they stay for my originals, they appreciate how it's just piano and voice. So I've delved into that a bit more and tried to like make songs focused on melody rather than potential other stuff in the background. So in terms of like future plans and stuff, that's something that I do want to pursue, but also I do want to experiment a bit with doing bigger arrangements. But yeah, I've got lots of studio stuff happening at the moment and various plans that are going to come together soon. It's all very vague, but it's all, I've got lots of things planned for the next sort of month and year. And so, yeah.
And like with the covers, like how you were talking about how the arrangements are a little different because they're only on piano. I feel like that's kind of
Mm.
what struck me when I first found your stuff, how you were playing these songs that obviously we've heard a million times before. I guess how do you choose the songs you do choose to cover, and how do you choose to arrange them in the way that you do?
It's all quite spontaneous, the whole process. Since sort of taking it seriously in the past year or so, I've always been very busy along the side doing like uni work and stuff. So the songs that I choose are ones that I already know super well. So I'll go through my playlist, like with She Loves You, for example. Went through my playlist, saw She Loves You, thought, yeah, I know that super well. Let's give it a go. And the process of getting it to work on the piano, I knew the chords and how I was going to play it beforehand because of learning by ear. So I didn't need to like look up the sheet music or anything. I just knew, right, okay, it's in G, I can do that. And when I went over to the piano to give it a go, the version that has ended up as the YouTube version, the sort of sad, weird version, that's what happened spontaneously when I first tried playing it. It wasn't a conscious decision to make it sad or to make it really different. It was just, it was very quick. It was the sort of quickest way that I did it. And when I was doing it, I was thinking they're going to hate this because it's so different from the original. It's like it's a bit sacrilegious, like no one's going to like it. So I was very surprised that people liked it so much, which I think the difference that I thought was going to make people hate it was actually the reason they liked it. But it's all quite spontaneous, basically. There's not like a set way that I do it. It tends to be what happens as soon as I sit down and play it, is what I tend to go with for the final version. When you put the melody and the chords in a different context with much less instruments, it highlights how sort of beautiful it can be just as a like lo-fi, sort of lo-fi without all the added extra stuff in the background. When it can work in both ways, that sort of proves just how amazing it is and just how beautiful their melodies and chords were when it works in both situations.
I think the first thing I saw from you was when you did Abbey Road all in one take.
Yeah,
Very, very impressed by that. I,
thank you.
how did you even go about doing that?
I had just finished my degree. It was in the weird summer holiday where nothing's happening, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt really like directionless and weird. And I thought, okay, I need to hyperfixate on something. I need to have a project that can give me worth and a purpose. And I saw that there was an Abbey Road anniversary coming up. I thought it was 50 years because I was really tired. And then I realized actually, no, it's 55 years, but I'll still do it anyway. And I had a sort of light bulb moment. What if I just played it? What if I just did it? It was all very spontaneous and weird. I think I took about a week where I just listened to the album from start to finish like 2 times a day. And then by the time that week was over, I could sit down at the piano and bash most of it out. There were a few bits that I had to revise, a few chords and weird bits, like the big transitions in the medleys. I had to go over them, play them on the computer, and play them on the piano at the same time and figure out how they were doing it. And some of the lyrics were an absolute nightmare to learn, like come together. It's too many words. Eventually, after a little bit of practice, I was able to play it all in one, and then I just played it all in one about 3 times. And then thought, right, okay, let's do it. Let's just record it. Went down to the local church with my dad, set up the phones, and just bashed it out. I think it was the second take. The first one went a bit wrong. And then the second take just went through the whole thing and thought, right, I'm not doing this again because it's so exhausting. We're going with take two. If it's bad, it's bad. I don't care. We got to the end. Yeah, people seemed to like it. So I was very pleased with that, but it was just very random idea, very spontaneous idea. I had no plan to pursue Beatles covers or anything at the time. It was just a fun little project to give me a bit of self-worth, and it worked.
Yeah, it was really incredible.
Thank you.
Your original song is really what made me want to contact you though. I went through your playlist, a lot of your original stuff. I was like, oh, she's actually like really, really good at songwriting.
Oh.
And what's your process of writing songs, especially on piano? Because I've written a lot of songs on guitar, but I really haven't been able to write songs on
Mm.
piano because singing and playing piano at the same time for me is just like impossible.
Mm.
What's been your process like?
I do melody and words and everything at the same time. I don't do it separately. Like I don't write a poem and then put it to music. It's all in one. And what usually happens is I will get a random idea of a sort of a chorus hook or something like that. And then when I can, I'll take it to the piano and work on it from there. There's not like a set way that I do it each time, but it will start with one idea that's melody and lyrics at the same time. And then I'll be able to go, right, that's starting on this note. Boom, let's do it. I don't do too much revision. Like when I am writing a song and writing a verse, I don't tend to go back and change loads of bits of it. It's quite similar to how I do covers. It's all quite spontaneous. It's usually the first thing that I think of is the thing that ends up going in, which I don't know is the best way to do it, but it seems to work for me. Yeah, most of the time the structure is pretty much going from point A to B. I don't need to change around lots of things. The exception to that is my song I Want to Be Noticed because there are so many words and originally like the chorus was the first verse or whatever, so I had to properly sit down and like mathematically think of how it was going to go. But most of the time, it's I get one idea, take it to piano, very quick from there, takes like 10 minutes just to bash it all out. And then I get to the end, record a little demo on my microphone so I can remember how it goes, put it in a folder, and then revisit it in a week, put it online.
Do you prefer doing the originals more than the covers, or is it kind of 50-50?
Originally, I preferred doing the covers, and now all I want to do are the originals because that is the thing that I want to take forward and to be known for. You know, I want to be known for my songwriting more so than anything else. So in future, I will be only doing that. But for the moment, I do still enjoy doing the covers. Eventually, I'll run out of Beatles songs. So I need to, I will branch out a bit in recent months. But I think at the moment, I'm preferring doing the originals. And I love seeing people's reactions to songs that are so personal. Because as soon as I put a song out there, it's not really mine anymore. It's everybody else's to do what they want with it, which is great. And by putting it online, I am giving permission for people to do that. And I love witnessing that experience each time from behind a screen and seeing people's comments. And with the covers, they're not my songs, so it's not quite the same effect.
Obviously, there's other bands that influence you. What are other artists that influence you or that you listen to?
I listen to a lot of old big band stuff from the 40s and 50s, which come to think of it, why might be why there's a little musical theatery
That's
part of the songs. I
that's
think that's probably it. There's not really like another Beatle-esque band because I'm asked sometimes, are there other Beatle-esque artists that you listen to? Not really. I listen to lots of 50s rock and roll, like Eddie Cochran, that sort of thing. But my other musical passion, and I don't think this has really come through in my songwriting, it's just a sort of something I also love listening to. Slovenian pop music is something I'm really, really into at the moment. Artists like Joker Out and Blash Mensing and Gushti, those sorts of people. That hasn't really come into changing how I write songs. I haven't done that many covers. I did a big piano playthrough of Joker Out songs a while back in a similar way to the Abbey Road thing. But other than that, it hasn't come into the YouTube channel that much, which is something I'm going to change. I want to mush it all together, all my different sort of musical passions. At the moment, the main influences on my originals are still probably the Beatles, and not many other people at the moment. There are a bunch of local Liverpool people that I really like and who do really good music, like Ellis Murphy does sort of Bob Dylan inspired stuff. Lydia Reese does really cool jazzy stuff. But yeah, I need to more generally like branch out a bit more.
well, I was gonna ask, yeah, like what is the music culture like in Liverpool?
Very vibrant. It's a lovely little community because Liverpool is it's quite a tiny city in the grand scheme of things. So it is quite a like bubble of musicians, but they're all so brilliant and so lovely. And I go to lots of the open mics, like at the Cavern Pub and the Jacaranda and those sorts of places. And it's always like you'll always recognize someone. As soon as you go to one of them, there will always be someone that you recognize at every single one. And yeah, it's a lovely little music scene, loads of really exciting gigs happening just all the time, loads and loads of venues. It's a great place to be if you're a musician. It's remained as a super musical and cultural place, even though the Beatles were 60 years ago. I think people are trying to make a point that it's not just musical because of the Beatles, which is completely true. Like, because the Beatles tourism stuff has never been bigger here. It's so massive. And it never used to be like 20, 30 years ago. It's only in the last 20 years, it's like Beatle heaven wherever you go. So I think that a lot of the local musicians are trying to say, yeah, Beatles, but also in its own right, there are other people here. It's really vibrant and a great place for music.
It's really cool. And how is the tourism there with all the Beatles stuff?
It's oh gosh, every corner you go, there's a photo of the Beatles just everywhere. It's there's guided tours all the time. There's a magical mystery tour bus that like when I'm walking to work, I'll see it just drive past. There's the Beatles story, the Beatles museum, there's like three different Beatles museums. And the Cavern Club like is on Matthew Street, and that street has just become like tourist heaven. It's where everyone goes for all the Beatles stuff. And obviously, it's not the original Cavern Club, but it's still really fun to go down there and see all the stuff on the walls. They've turned it into like half club, half museum with all the things behind the glass and all the photos and autographs of everyone. So it is really cool to check it out. But then it's also nice to escape that part of it and just go to some other venues
Yeah.
once in a while. Well, one day you should do all the Liverpool stuff and do all the London stuff, go to Abbey Road and St. John's Wood and all those places because it's definitely worth doing. Like every time I'm in London, I'll always go down to Abbey Road, even though like it's the same every single time. There's no point. But there's just a certain like special sort of there's something in the air when you go. So yeah.
We're kind of living in a really great time to be Beatles fans. And I just wanted to like kind of pick your brain about stuff that's been going on, all the remixes and remasters and everything.
I haven't actually listened to really any of Anthology 4. Seen people saying, like, what's the point? It's just everything that we've already seen. And I've heard about the Free as a Bird new version that people are not happy with. Yeah, I'm not sort of avidly following all the new stuff that's going on. I show a sort of distant, vague interest towards it. I think it's great to a certain extent. Like when you get to the point of avid buyers of Beatles stuff saying, there's not much point in buying this because it's just repeating what's already happened. Maybe that's the point in which we should go, right, okay, should we reconsider whether this is worth keeping, dragging out for as long as we can? But on the other hand, it's so great that there's still such a vibrant enthusiasm for the Beatles, and that obviously for like people our age, we weren't alive when it was happening, and obviously it's not the same, but it's nice that it's still there in some capacity. And we can't relive Beatlemania, but we can experience some elements of it 60 years later. And if that is made possible by still bringing out stuff, even if it's just repeating what's already brought out, then they can keep doing it if they really want. And if it makes Paul and Ringo happy. That's the most important thing. I think the thing that's most exciting at the moment is probably the films. The casting announcements are
Oh,
very interesting to witness. I'm very interested to see how they do that because I think that either people are going to love the films or they're going to absolutely hate them. And if they hate them, then I don't really know what the Beatles brand can do. I don't know how they can move forward after that. So I think like the next 5 years are going to be really, really quite interesting.
yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle it. I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Yeah, have they started filming the films yet? I don't know. I haven't seen any people wandering around Liverpool. They might not even film it in Liverpool because that might be too predictable. They might have to like make a set in the middle of nowhere.
Well, how's it been just kind of slowly watching your audience grow?
Really bizarre. It was very unexpected because in the grand scheme of things, like if somebody comes across my channel, they won't think that They'll be like, oh, 10,000, that's not like, that's okay. That's not huge. To me, oh my God, it's massive. It's insane. And I'm immensely thankful. The lovely thing is that it's more than just people watching. It's become a sort of little community of people. Like we've got this Discord server and things like that. And the comments that people put on the videos, the ratio of views to comments is insane because so many people put such lovely comments. So we've made a sort of like made a little group rather than it just being a sort of one-sided parasocial thing. And it's so nice. And I never thought that that would happen. And I'm very excited to see it hopefully getting bigger and getting to know more people through it. Because, yeah, the people I've got to know through this have been amazing. Just got so many brilliant connections through people just finding my stuff through the algorithm doing its thing and me not having to do anything. And it's just like, it's just happened. It's been utterly weird and utterly brilliant at the same time.
Feels great. It feels like old YouTube kind of. I just did a video, my friends, about, talking about the internet has gotten more negative and less creative and kind of asking, will there be like a counterculture through all of that? And I feel like it kind of has. Like you said, like, oh, people might see like 10,000, think that's not a lot, but it is. There needs to be more focus and more, I guess, value in being like a small creator again. Smaller communities and smaller things are beginning to have value again.
Yeah, because I think like there are now so many people with over 1 million subscribers. Like it used to be massive if one person had done that, and now it's just every other person you see has got that. So I completely agree that there's so much value in the smaller communities. And I think also some people have said to me that part of the reason they like my stuff is because it's so contrasting to all the AI stuff happening because it's very simple. It's just bashing a tune out on the piano. It's very quick and easy. And they're like, yeah, that's what we want because I haven't like gone and edited loads of stuff into it. And I think that people are enjoying that as well. Not to say that doing loads of editing and other stuff is not good. It's brilliant. It's amazing. I just think some people might have a preference for stuff that's more sort of direct. It's just so sad that now it's hard to tell. Like, even if something seems super original, it could have just been AI generated or whatever. It's an awful time to be trying to make this my career, but it will be interesting to see people's pushback to that. Yeah.
When people watch your videos and hear your music, what do you want them to get from it?
That's a really difficult question. This is a very sort of generic answer, but it has proven to be the thing I get the most joy out of when I get people's comments is when they say with a song I've written, they go, "Oh, this is exactly the situation I'm in. This is exactly how I feel about this thing. I've been listening to this loads because it really resonates in a way that other things don't." So I think the thing I'd want people to get is if they relate to a situation that I'm writing about, they can have comfort in the fact that it's not just them. They're like, I'm getting it as well. I'm experiencing this terrible thing as well. They're experiencing it. We all are. Or this happy thing, we're all experiencing it, and we can all have comfort in each other's virtual company. Yeah, giving people something to relate to is probably the thing I'd want them to get out of it.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.